Everybody, welcome to Snow Talk. Brian Good here. Very active pattern now starting to take shape as we look into the longer term. Obviously, this is our short-term issue. They'll be moving in tomorrow morning. I will say this. I didn't have any maps prepared for it, but there is a chance that if we're cold enough tomorrow morning that some areas north of Louisville, I would say Ripley County through Jennings, maybe Jackson in Indiana, you may see a bit of sleet mixed in with the rain at the onset, depending on how much virgo we got, which is precipitation that evaporates as it hits the ground. We'll see how the dew points trend and our actual temperatures trend through the overnight period, but it wouldn't surprise me that we could see at least the onset, a few moments of some sleet, and then quickly going over to all rain. Not a big deal, but just want to at least mention that in case somebody hears the sleet in the morning and thinks something's wrong with the forecast. It's not the case. It's common, really, in these kind of setups. It just haven't happened in a while. But the rain, again, will be our issue for Wednesday, and then we've got our next system as we move into Thursday, or excuse me, into the end of the weekend and next week. And that is where the snowboard, I still have the rain and snow symbol here for the last day of the month and the first. One of those will likely be taken out because I think it's only going to be one of those that I think will potentially have this effect. This looks to be a scenario where it's going to go from rain mixing with a bit of wet snow, could go all the way to snow. Not ruling that out yet. But until we get a better handle on the storm track, the intensity of the low, the timing, the thermal profile of the atmosphere in general, how warm and cold, how the layers are all stacked up, I can't go much more than just a rain and snow symbol for right now. Sorry, guys. But let me explain why it is kind of a complicated setup. As we head into Sunday night into Monday, the first system moves in. Here's your rain snow line aloft, typically, way to our north. This is going to be a gusty system, too. A lot of wind with it, some rain, maybe some thunder. And this one has a chance to push us into the 60s. At this point, we're falling just short of that on our outlook, but it wouldn't surprise me that we'll have to increase our temperatures to that profile. We'll see how it plays out. But then the front kind of gets snaked out across the southeast, and then a new low develops on the tail end of the front. This is something we see a lot in the summertime period especially, but a new low will form on this front and then track into the Ohio Valley. And this very well could lead to a decent amount of rainfall if the Euro is right. This is the Euro model. Euro's coming out with like several inches of rain for not just us, but for a lot of the drought-stricken areas. So great news if this were to happen. I mean, the PWAT, so the precipitable water, is over 1.5 inches, close to 2 inches in some areas in the south. So impressive. And it would also mean some thunderstorms in some cases. But then watch the rain-snow line. As the low moves over the Tennessee, potentially Ohio Valley, that rain-snow line gets tugged down. And that is when we begin to see the wraparound effect, top-down cooling taking place. So that's when we could see the transition over to a bit of a mixture, if not going already over to a period of wet snow as it wraps up and pulls away around the 1st of December. Looking at the other models here, here's the Euro looking at the 850 temperatures, obviously green, or the blue. There's no green on there. Blue is cold, red is warm. And this is when we found the low pressure approaching our area. Look how warm. I mean, 850 temperatures is about 13, 14 degrees, which would indicate potential for some thunderstorms and maybe even some severe weather with this, especially into southern Kentucky, depending on that track. That's key. And look how cold it is. I mean, 850 is colder in Houston and Louisiana than they would be here in Kentucky. So a very dynamic setup here, a good battle here of the cold and the warm if this were to play out, and because it had been those 850s crash as it moves in, as you saw there with that rain snow line on the animation. So interesting setup. And because the two systems are close together, this is always key. You get the one low Sunday night into Monday, and then you get the second one forming on it and moving in within a matter of 24 hours. That closeness allows the second one to then take advantage of the atmosphere that's left behind by the first one, if you will. So the closeness of the two systems in time period can have an impact on the end result. But the models will always struggle with that. So it's still early in the game on that, but it's an interesting setup, to say the least. I did look at the ensembles from Weather Bell on the Canadian, and it too give a pretty high chance of the 850s crashing. Here's the rain snow line, the blue line, as we head into the 30th into the 1st of December there. So the Canadian, the operational Canadian, if you guys look at that, it's slower, much slower than what the ensembles are showing here. So we're leaning toward the ensemble idea. And looking longer term, the pattern seems to be laying out here for the potential for this cold air to get brought in from Canada and then undercuts into our neck of the woods because of the blocking here in the northern Atlantic. Meanwhile, we're still getting some energy coming in the Pacific, so very odd setup, but it still allows for some cold air. Very interesting profile, really, for December. If we can keep this going, the energy will still come in off the desert Southwest, we are still going to get areas of low pressure developing in Texas and becoming app runners into December, which for you snow lover fans, you know what that could mean. We'll leave it at that for now. We'll see you later.